Alright, today we're going to work with the exponential functions, and we're going to be working strictly with taking the derivative of those. So as a reminder, we talked about how the derivative of e to the x is e to the x, and the derivative of e to the u is e to the u, so you write it just as is, and then you take the derivative of that exponent. So let's go ahead and get started with a couple examples. This first one, it's the derivative. I always just write exactly what's there. It's e to whatever's there. The u statement, okay, the du that they're talking about is just taking the derivative of that exponent. So I'm going to multiply by negative 2x. Now, I am going to go ahead and rewrite this because typically we'll put that in front of the e, and then we'll just leave this as our answer. The second one, this is a constant out in front, so we're just going to leave the constant alone just like we would do any other time we're taking derivatives. So I'm just going to write 3 e to the 1 minus x squared, and then I'm going to take the derivative of that exponent. The derivative of this exponent is negative 2x. So then I'll just simplify this just a little bit. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. E to the 1 minus x squared. There's my solution for the second problem. As I look down at the next problem, this one is a little bit more complicated because it's got the ln in there as well. We're going to make this less complicated, first of all, by simplifying. We're going to use the log properties. The log properties say that if we have something being divided, we can break those two things up. And we can do that by subtraction. So I'll have the ln of 1 plus e to the x minus the ln of 1 minus e to the x. Now I'll go ahead and take the derivative. So we do know that the ln's have a derivative of 1 over whatever follows. Well, whatever follows happens to be the 1 plus e to the x. Then we have to take the derivative of that part. Well, the derivative of 1 is 0, and the derivative of e to the x is e to the x. Minus, we're going to take the derivative of the ln again. It's 1 over whatever's there. 1 minus e to the x, and then we'll multiply by the derivative of this part right here. So the derivative of 1 is 0, and the derivative of negative e to the x is negative e to the x. So what I'm going to do is just rewrite this just a little bit. I'm going to put e to the x over 1 plus e to the x minus 1 minus e to the x, and this negative e to the x will come on the top. And I'll change this to plus the opposite, and we're good. The only thing else we could do is make common denominators, but I'm not going to spend time doing that. The next problem, again, we're going to find the derivative. I would rewrite this one as well first. I would rewrite this as 1/2 e to the x minus e to the negative x. The reason I'm going to go ahead and do that is so I don't have to deal with that 1/2. We're just going to carry it along. The derivative is 1/2. And then I'll take the derivative of each part. E to the x is e to the x minus. I'd write down e to the negative x, and I'm going to take the derivative of negative x, which is negative 1. Y prime then is 1/2 times e to the x, and that would be plus e to the negative x. We have a couple more problems left, and I'll continue both of those in the next video. And we're getting ready for the next problem. This one is asking me to use implicit differentiation, and that's because I have x's and y's within the problem. This one's going to be a complicated problem, but if we just take it slowly and use all the rules that we've learned so far, we'll be able to get through this. So what I want you guys to recognize first is that the first term is an e. So we're going to take it and we're going to take the derivative of that, which is this e to the x times y. Now, we have to take the derivative of this part, and we need to recognize that this is the product rule. So I need to take first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first happens to be a 1. Now for the second term, the derivative of x squared is 2x. And then for the last term here, we have 2y, and then it is a y, and we're taking the derivative with respect to x. So I need to put 2y times dy over dx equals the derivative of 10 is 0. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and distribute this out. And I end up getting x e to the xy dy over dx plus y e to the xy plus 2x minus 2y dy over dx equals 0. The whole point in doing that is so that we can get these dy over dx's by themselves on one side. So I'm going to leave those two that I've underlined on the left-hand side. And I'm going to move the other two that are not underlined to the right-hand side. So that would make that negative e, or negative y e to the xy, minus 2x. And then the next part I'm going to do is factor out the dy over dx. So I have x e to the xy minus 2y equals the right-hand side. And now I just simply need to divide that off. So I end up with my final answer, dy over dx equals negative y e to the xy minus 2x divided by x e to the xy minus 2y. This is my last problem. In this problem, again, we're asked to take the derivative. This is the second derivative. The first derivative, or before I take the first derivative, I'll go ahead and rewrite. I have x to the 1/2 plus e to the x ln x. The derivative, first derivative, is 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 plus, I have a product rule here. I'm going to underline the two parts. So I'm going to take and write the first times the derivative of the second, which is 1 over x, plus the second times the derivative of the first, which is e to the x. At this point, before I go ahead and take the derivative again, I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to say that g prime of x is equal to 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. And I'm not going to go there because I'll end up having to do that again when I go to take the derivative. E to the x over x plus ln x e to the x. Now I'm ready to take the second derivative. The second derivative is just taking the derivative again. So bring this out front. Negative 1/4 x to the negative 3/2 plus, we're going to do a quotient rule. Bottom times the derivative of the top minus the top times the derivative of the bottom, which is 1 all over bottom squared, plus, now I have a product rule. First times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. And then the last thing I'll do is just maybe clean this up just a little bit. And so I'll say my answer is negative 1 over 4, the square root of x cubed, plus x e to the x minus e to the x over x squared, plus ln x e to the x plus e to the x over x.